Hi, I'm Mary.
And I'm Katie, and this is The Housewife Did It.
Pop culture edition. All right. Um, Sad news. Liam Payne's toxicology results came back, and he tested positive for something called pink cocaine, which I had never heard of before. It's apparently as a mix of meth, ketamine, and MDMA. And then he also tested positive for regular cocaine and crack cocaine and benzodiazepines. That's 3 different types of cocaine.
It's true.
Um, since
Except
his
one of
death,
them maybe isn't even cocaine.
yeah, why are they calling it pink cocaine? I
I
was
don't
like,
know.
oh, like that must be what the cocaine is part of, and it was like these are separate things, and I was like,
Yeah,
where's the
interesting.
cocaine part? Since his death, people close to him come forward and said that he was really struggling, that in the past he had overdosed to the point of needing to be resuscitated, and that he had entered a 28-day rehab program earlier in the year, but left after only 48 hours. Interestingly, he they also said he needed a visa to go to Argentina. I don't know if they like if
Just because you stayed for like 2 weeks, maybe?
yeah, maybe because he was there for a while. And in order to go through the visa process, he had to have medical exams done. And according to those medical exams, he was 100% sober at the time he was going through the visa process. So, like, his family and friends are just like, that's so crazy that, like, he was 100% sober like 2 weeks ago. And then, all of a sudden, he's using every version of crack cocaine that's on the market.
Yeah.
So the theory now is that as a result of the drug use, he fainted at the edge of the balcony, and that's how he toppled over the edge and fell.
Yeah. I couldn't figure out what made them determine that from like an autopsy or if it was just like witnesses. But they do seem pretty sure about that
Yeah,
now. And so I'm like, oh, like how, I don't know how we determine that.
I don't either.
Maybe it's
Maybe like
just
something to
the
do with like heart,
sheer
but he wouldn't
yeah.
have a heart rate. I don't know how you would check his heart rate like on his
Well,
phone or
sometimes
something.
sometimes your body like releases certain things
Yeah,
depending on like how much. So like maybe they could see like
yeah,
that his heart rate went down first. But
yeah.
also, unless they're just deciding that because of like the sheer amount of intoxication he would have had, and they're thinking like, listen, he would have had to faint at some freaking point.
Right.
That was a lot of drugs.
Yeah. And at like in 2024, we can use like Apple Watches and iPhones to track health
Yeah.
trends. Um, so truthfully, I didn't even know if I wanted to talk about this, but I feel like because we started it last time, we should finish what we were talking about. But I do think it's important for anyone who's talking about this and Liam Payne to remember that like he has a son, he has a family, they love him and they respect him, and they don't want his life like whittled down to the way it ended and what he was doing at the time that it ended. And like Cheryl Cole has like made a post about it and said like, I do not want my son to grow up one day and like anytime someone searches his dad's name, come up and say like, your dad did like crazy amounts of drugs. I want him to remember like that he was like really successful, and like how he impacted those around him, and like I just think that that's important.
Yeah, and
Also,
it does happen that way. Like you think about like when you think of Amy Winehouse,
yeah,
like do you think of her like incredible career
right,
first? Not
right,
necessarily. So maybe if you lived through like her music, which like we didn't in like
yeah,
a huge way, but you know, like it just yeah, like trying to remember that like this was a person who was hugely
right,
successful and like did
yeah,
a lot of stuff and had people who loved him and then struggled with
yeah.
something.
And it might be easier said than done to say, like, to think about it that way, but, like, maybe you don't have to post about it that way.
Sure. Maybe publicly we
Yeah.
just.
Oh, there's my landlord. The other thing I was gonna say is related to One Direction. Harry Styles was voted sexiest man alive
Wow. So.
for the second year in a row.
Wow.
My opinion, first of all, is that I agree.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so what I was gonna say is I saw apparently somebody else who was like in the running for sexiest man alive said like, I hope y'all are happy with your choice because like Harry Styles publicist isn't even going to think of this as important enough to tell him, like he's just going to keep enjoying his life and have no idea that y'all voted for him, and like it would have meant the world to me. I don't know who this guy is. I saw this on Facebook, so it might not even be true.
Desperation ain't
But
sexy.
I know,
Baby.
I'm like, this is why we didn't pick you. But then like some of the commenters were like, or maybe we take into consideration that his friend just died and like he's dealing with that right now. Like maybe his publicist isn't going to tell him, and maybe it has nothing to do with the fact that he's living it up in Fiji.
Yeah.
But like that he just like, not only did his friend just die, but then he found out how he died, and like his funeral has just like taken place. Like let's
Chill.
give those boys a break.
Yeah.
But another tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
Jen Affleck was spotted in the audience of Dancing with the Stars, and unfortunately, this seems to have debunked the rumors that I would like to point out she started about her possibly being divorced or getting divorced because her stupid ass husband was sitting right next to her. So Jen Affleck had been posting a lot of questionable videos with her mom.
Not even that questionable.
Like pretty like
They seem
straightforward, like I'm single videos.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, watching them a couple times, she's being weird. She's hiding her left finger the whole time, which like maybe this is a Mormon thing. But if you want people to think you're divorced because that's what the people want, why can't you just take your ring off for like the 1 minute video you're filming?
Yeah.
But also this came like after people were saying that they thought she didn't have her ring on in pictures. But so she's like hiding her ring finger and all of them, but they're like videos about her being single. And it turns out it was just to get our hopes up and then let us know.
Yeah. I mean, like, I guess it was smart because it got hella engagement. But, like, why are you clickbaiting us?
It's mean.
Rude.
This is like
we all thought this victim had escaped from her cruel captor, and then you're like, he just kidding.
Yeah. This is like the same feeling you get when like you think Reputation is being announced tonight and it's not.
Yeah.
Rude. I hate it. Michael Kelcourse, the beloved butler from Southern Charm, passed away on the last season of Southern Charm, or maybe not even the last season.
It's been a minute,
I think it was a few seasons ago, but they've like updated us since then because him and Pat are friends. But basically, he had stopped working for Patricia and Whitney after some health issues, and so she talked about it on the show and like about like going to visit him and like that her new butler was not even close. But since learning why he stopped working for them, he has been experiencing strokes like regularly.
Yeah.
And I know he just had one like a week or two ago. And so I think that like I think it's just one of those things where like once someone starts having strokes that often, like you know what's going to happen. Yeah. And so Patricia did confirm that she heard he had passed away, and she's very sad because he was like a dear friend to her, especially in the end when he wasn't her employee anymore. But yeah, all the tidbits are sad.
Yeah.
Mark Anderson is not going to be the Golden Bachelor because he is dating the mom from Dawson's Creek. He said, "Oh, I could be more than a reality star celebrity."
Yeah.
I could date an
A
actual famous
celebrity.
person,
Yeah.
and he is.
'Cause
And
I'm a stunner.
their Halloween costumes were so cute.
I'm dating a famous person because I'm a stunner.
They were we had a PD yesterday, and they were like, "What music do y'all like to listen to when you're working?" And I said, "I'm working late." And then they didn't play it. Then they played the Animal Crossing theme song instead.
This is definitely not what I asked for.
Somebody's like, "Do lo-fi," and they were like, "Okay, Animal Crossing theme song." I was like,
I was
"Okay,
thinking
that's a
hi-fi,
choice.
actually.
That's a choice." But so yeah, they dressed up as Cinderella and Prince Charming, and instead, okay, so I have seen this everywhere
Okay.
except from Bachelor Nation specifically. I have not
Okay.
seen it at the end of any episodes. I have not seen it on their social media, but everyone is saying that Jonathan is going to be the next Golden Bachelor. He was the one I had told you. He talked about when they had the prom night. He talked about how he had to miss his prom because he had asked a white girl to prom because he was the only black kid at his school, and she said yes, and then at like the last minute she said no because he was black. Her parents wouldn't let her go with him.
Okay.
And that just like being the only black kid in, because I think he went to private school, like being the only black kid in his school, like was really difficult, and he talked a lot about that, and he went home just a couple of weeks ago. But they're saying that he's the next Golden Bachelor, but I have scrounged Bachelor Nation, The Bachelor, The
Bachelor,
Bachelorette, Golden Bachelor,
ABC.
all of them, and I can't find any like reveal.
Mm.
Um but Men Tell All is next week, so
Probably,
we'll
yeah.
see. Yeah. Speaking of the Golden Bachelorette, it was sad this week.
Rude. Yeah, my last tidbit's sad too.
Sad. Okay, so it's Fantasy Suites week. Last week she met families. This week is Fantasy Suites. Last week, I forget that we're 2 weeks out.
Yeah.
So last week at Hometowns, she was like really honest with the families and was like, "Here's how I'm feeling about your dad or grandpa or whatever." And she told a couple of families, Pascal's family and Jordan's family, that they were the two that were having the most trouble opening up and being like vulnerable. And she told Jordan's daughter and her girlfriend, she said like, "Your dad is the one I'm most worried about because he's like the least open with me about his feelings." And his daughter was like, "That tracks, honestly." And then Jordan did go home. So this week is Fantasy Suites, and Joan is like open with all of them from like the moment they get the Fantasy Suite card, that she has never been someone who is comfortable with sleeping with more than one person, and she is certainly not going to be starting now.
Yeah. I've established this trend in my life.
I'm not going to change it on national
out.
television.
Yeah.
And Guy and Chalk are just fine with that. And then they interviewed Chalk after, and they said, "What did y'all do?" And he said, "If Joan wants to tell you what we did, I'll let her tell you, but that's between two adults." I said,
So do you think she had sex with one of them that she knows she'll end up with? Or do you think he's just trying to be a hotshot?
I think that anyone who's watching The Golden Bachelorette right now would agree with me that there's probably no way she doesn't pick Chalk.
Okay. So they may have?
So I wouldn't be like shocked necessarily if, because we've learned in the past few years, like they're much more open than we get to see. And so like it's possible that she tells him like, "Hey, it's going to be you at the end." But she also keeps saying that she's worried Chalk is too good to be true.
Sure, but I feel like that's what they say when they're going to pick them.
Yeah. Chalk is
Y'all should go to YouTube just for that face from Mary. That's the thumbnail.
Chalk is the one whose mom died, like kind of halfway in, and he went home
in the show.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he went home for like just a few days to kind of get the affairs in order, and then he came back because he's like so into Joan. And then when they went to his hometown last week, it was a celebration of life for his mom. because he hadn't been able to be there for it. So I know. So I'm like, if they got to the fantasy suite and she's like, hey, like, if you're down for it, like, I will pick you.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like, a gentleman never tells. But then she gets to her final date of the week, which is with Pascal. Let them walk by.
Mm-hmm.
Pascal's the French guy.
Yes.
Who can't do laundry.
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't know why he's surprised by this, because it's like a Bachelor Nation tradition. They do some sort of healing ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
There's always something like this in the last couple
some
weeks.
cross-cultural healing ceremony.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And also, like, it was like there was like a feast put on. They're in, where are they? I don't know. But she said they had like native foods.
Okay.
And then they did this healing ceremony, and Pascal did not like it.
Okay.
He was
because he's like a racist, or
no,
just too cheesy for him.
He says he wasn't ready to open up about his feelings until, I guess, the actual fantasy suite part of the date. Which, like, part of me is like,
what you gotta say off camera, sir?
Exactly. Part of me is like, what's the difference? And the other part of me is like, he didn't want to say it on camera, maybe. But so he said that it was just very uncomfortable for him to have to, like, be so open and share things when he wasn't ready, and that he's like, I'm trying not to complain, because, like, any moment I get to be with Joan is a good moment, but this is not what I was expecting.
Was he giving Juan Pablo?
No. He wasn't, like, ugly about it. He just was like, he was like, I'm just, like, disappointed. Like, this isn't what I thought we were going to be doing. I thought it was going to be light and fun.
He wanted to do fun, and then
we're going to get to the serious stuff. Yeah. So he starts their dinner by asking if he can open up to her. And she's like, I mean, duh, we've been doing that all fucking day. Yeah. And then he tells her, this is how she repeats it to the camera. He says it, I think, like, more long-winded, maybe a little more delicately, but what she says is basically he told her that he knows what true love is, and he doesn't feel it with her. Yeah. And then he leaves. And through this whole thing, she's told all of their families, anyone who asks what her biggest concern is, she said her biggest fear is that she is not the only one who gets to pick a love. Yep. And so she's scared that she'll get to the end and she'll pick someone. This is who she wants, and they won't pick her back. Mm-hmm. And so then this is just like her worst fear coming true. Mm-hmm. And she's like, we get a preview of Men Tell All for next week, and she tells Pascal, like, I did see a life with you, and, like, it just, like, scares her, I think. And so then she's kind of like, this is exactly what I didn't want. And now I'm wondering, like, am I good enough for anyone who's left to love me? Because they've also known true loves. Like, they've had...
It's like the thing here.
Yeah, they've had, like Chalk's fiance died. I don't know, guys. I think Guy is just divorced. But, like, she's like, I just, like, that's her worry. Which is, like, fair. Yeah. And that's how it ends.
Well, my devastating tidbit is I did not see this coming, that Heather Gay would be the most insufferable one on this season of Salt Lake City.
It's because she went and got skinny.
Yeah. Why? Who? Not allowed anymore.
We're sick of you skinny people.
Lizzo, are you going to become absolutely insufferable now when you become skinny? Y'all better stop.
I did love her costume too.
I'm so sad. She's like, Bronwyn's just like, hey, thought we should chat before I maybe invite you on this trip. And she's like, so basically I'm here to sing for my supper, or earn my supper to get invited for the trip.
Okay, earn my supper?
Drama.
Who says that?
She wants to be in a good place before she invites you on her trip.
Yeah.
Why is that crazy? She didn't say come in here and earn it. She just said, let's talk. And Heather's like, well, I came here expecting an apology from you. Bronwyn's like, why?
Right.
Why did you do that?
What did I do?
She sucks. I did
Oh,
see
he's
something.
leaving.
I did see something, and I want your take on it a little bit.
Okay.
So Bronwyn was at, I think it was just like last night or a couple of days ago, but she was at a Kamala Harris rally
Mm-hmm.
in Las Vegas or
Mm-hmm.
in Nevada, somewhere. And she was with Cy and Gertie.
Okay.
And she said, Housewives for Harris. And someone posted it and they were like, oh, this is why Heather Gay hates her and only wants to be friends with Lisa Barlow. And I was like, wait a second. Is this like a known thing or is this an assumption? And do we believe that? Do we believe that Heather Gay is a Trump supporter?
Yeah, I don't.
I don't either.
I would believe Lisa Barlow is
of course
beforehand, but Lisa Barlow loves Tater.
And Lisa Barlow, like, at least wants people to think she's like so cool with the gays and stuff. So I feel like
I would not necessarily be shocked if Lisa Barlow was, but Heather Gay, I wouldn't think so.
I mean, it's funny. It's a funny drag of her, but I just was like, I don't know that I agree.
Yeah.
But okay.
Taylor Swift. What the fuck happened in Indy last night? In like the span of a few hours, heard that there was a terrorist attack.
Mm-hmm.
I heard there was a blackout. I heard that the blackout was intentional. I don't know what to believe.
Mm-hmm.
People are saying that they think it's intentional because
it's Taylor Swift.
Yeah, because it happened at exactly midnight and like exactly in the transition from Bejeweled to Mastermind. So like she finished Bejeweled and then the stage went dark for like a very specific amount of time. I've seen like a minute and a half. I've seen like exactly 2 minutes, 50 seconds. I don't know how long it was, but it was like a specific amount of time. It wasn't like a minute and 16 seconds, you know? So people are wondering if it's a hint. I don't know what it means.
Yeah. I hadn't seen it till you sent it to me. All I saw was that her mic pack went out for like a minute, I think is what they said. But she said into her mic, like, my battery's going out.
Yeah.
And that just meant that she couldn't hear the songs. Like,
yeah,
she was
like trying to sing them and she was off, but
she was just singing Lavender Haze through it. But
it was like echoing.
So then, but that would have been first. So like Lavender Haze is first. Yes. So our
that's
mic
what they're
goes
saying
out,
is that the mic goes out and then it seems fine.
Yeah.
But then the whole stage goes out and they're like, oh, like they're just having a lot of like difficulties.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's not like crazy to think that in like the last city in the US tour, she'd be like hinting at stuff. And then obviously like the video you sent, like people are just using like the glitch sound to
some people were also saying
I feel like she would say something.
I also saw some people saying that the bracelets went out, which are not power operated,
right?
You know, like.
But it looked like in the video you posted that there were.
But in the videos I saw that it seemed like maybe it was people's phones or something.
Maybe. I wonder if when she posts like her indie post, if she'll say like, we had some technical difficulties or so scary when the lights went out. But that doesn't necessarily mean that she's not still lying.
Yeah.
By whatever she says.
In New Orleans, Taylor Swift sang her first surprise song that was not her own.
Not ever.
But like this is the first time. I feel like this is the first time it's one that she hasn't even been featured on.
Yeah, like, I mean, she did This Is What You Came For, but she did write that song.
Yeah.
But she's not on that song. But yes.
So,
I think, yes, the only one that's like not connected to her at all.
She was singing Domingo.
I don't know what you're saying.
Espresso version. You don't know Domingo?
No.
From the Saturday Night Live sketch?
Yeah, I did see it the other day, but I didn't know if the sketch was what you were
The
referencing, or if the
bridesmaids wanted
sketch
a
came after.
celebration.
So I was like, maybe I don't know the
It's
original, but the sketch is the original. That's where you're getting
yeah,
this from. Oh, okay.
yeah. The sketch, it's about like the bachelorette trip. The
Yeah.
bride meets a guy named Domingo, and then he
I
shows
did
up.
see that. I just thought,
Yeah.
were they making a joke off something that I missed? But
No.
okay, cool.
So she sang espresso, and then she called Sabrina Carpenter in the middle of it.
She kept telling everyone to shush. Girl, you know good and well.
Yeah.
She's like,
This is me. This is me after I've said something crazy to my whole class and then been like, okay, chill out, like calm down. So she said, like, how long would it take you to get here to sing it with me? And she said, probably like 5 seconds.
People think it's funny because she said, get off that roller coaster you're on. And then they're showing like Taylor Swift when she rides down that thing underneath her stage, like in the I Can Do It With a Broken Heart video. And she's like, she knows Sabrina Carpenter's on that roller coaster under the stage.
So she came out and they sang Espresso and Is It Over Now and Please, Please, Please.
Sabrina Carpenter said, thanks for working late, thanks for being a singer, and thanks for having me.
And people are saying like that in comparison to Sabrina Carpenter, Taylor Swift doesn't sound good.
It's not her song. She's
Yeah,
not
I was
supposed
like,
to sound as good.
That's not her song, and it's also not her key.
No.
There's a reason I sound different singing Sabrina Carpenter than Taylor Swift.
Yeah, she's not supposed to sound as good on someone else's song.
Right. Also, the Superdome in New Orleans had this huge friendship bracelet on it that it traded with the arena in Indianapolis. So now it's wearing it. It's so cute.
Can they get it to Canada?
Please. Also, speaking of Sabrina Carpenter, I loved her spooky tour setup. Like,
so cute.
You don't see people doing that.
No. And I was like, okay, she did it on like the 30th. Did she not have a 31st show? Because I only saw it once. But I just thought that, you don't see. I was like, wait, she actually dressed up in costume and like kind of changed the sets a little bit.
Yeah, and
like,
she dressed up in a costume that matched each of her outfits. I was like, she nailed it. Like, which costume for which part.
But she did have to like change them enough, so then it's like she didn't wear like hose for the Playboy outfit, and then she wore little heels instead of boots for the Tinkerbell. So like it was different enough that they were like noticeably what she was trying to dress as, but it was like a perfect transition. Very good.
And the Tinkerbell like had like the like cutout, and then what she normally has a long skirt on with that top at first, and I don't think she did.
Oh, like she did Dumb and Poetic just as I think Tinkerbell.
So, yeah. All right.
Cool.
Love is Blind.
Dude, I just feel like I'm losing my mind. Everywhere I look, people are like, this season of Love is Blind and this reunion were so boring. Let's just forget they ever happened. What?
Yeah.
Am I going crazy? Is it stupid that I was so entertained?
Yeah, no, we're literally baffled by you people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with y'all. But here's what happened. Maybe if we say it, it'll sound more interesting. So, on the finale, only 2 couples have made it to wedding day.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Do you know how many? 7 left together.
Yeah.
They chose not to film one.
Okay. That means we got to see a lot of breakups.
Right. Ashley and Tyler and Garrett and Taylor both said yes. Both were still together at the reunion. I said, "Oh my god, they've got a 100% success rate on people who made it to the wedding day."
It was so funny. Every time a woman walked out, like Taylor walked out, and Billy was like, "Oh, she looks incredible." And then Ashley, and he was like, "Oh, she looks incredible." And like every single one of them, he said, "Marissa looks incredible." Like, couldn't stop. I was like,
what do you think of Ashley's spiders?
I thought it was cute. Like, did they tell her like this is gonna air the day before Halloween?
Yeah. So I want to know what surprised you more. The fact that Ashley and Tyler are still together, or that their conversation about kids was staged. How is that not interesting to you people?
Yeah. I am not really surprised they're still together. I am also, I don't really believe that the conversation about the kids was staged in the way that she says it was. So, yeah, I'm not shocked, I guess, because I think it is a lie. I totally understand that, like, this comes so much later. So, like, she has been with this man for a year without people being able to comment, without people being able to say anything and know anything. And, like, she has developed a relationship with this man. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that you're like, okay, honey, I'm going to lie for you on TV.
Yeah.
Because I ride for you and I know the truth about you. It don't look good, but, like, I'm going to lie for you. But you are telling me that he told her before they had that conversation, I am a part of these kids' lives, and I naturally conceived the pair of twins. She's telling us she knows everything. Why, on camera, did you ask him, do they know what you look like? If you know that he is going to be forced to lie, and that people can and will fact check that. To me, like, if you already know, keep it off the TV, or like, I don't know, be more strategic, have him lie in, like, more subtle ways. But to straight up be like, they don't know what I look like, when you are saying you know everything, which would mean you know that he goes to Christmas with them and there are pictures of that, which would mean that, you know, unless they just thought that, like, unless they just thought the children's mother would, like, keep quiet.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I feel like what's more likely is that maybe they even had that conversation and she was like, you acting kind of sketchy. And then he told her the truth, or he eventually told her the truth. And now she's just, like, willing to lie for him. But I feel like that would be very weird if you knew everything and then you still sat there and made him make an ass of himself.
Right. So basically, if you missed it, they asked Ashley and Tyler about the kids thing, and she says that Tyler had actually told her about the kids off camera, and that he told her everything, like, from the beginning.
Nothing she's found out on social media is shocking.
She said, who do you think knows more about this, me or social media? So she said she has always known that they're a part of his life. She always knew it was more than just a sperm donor situation. She said that he told her, when he told her that they existed, he told her that he wanted to try to protect them and their mom from the public as much as possible, because they didn't, like, opt to be on this show, you know, and that he didn't want to bring it up on camera. But Ashley said she felt like it would be disingenuous to have had this conversation that did create a rift in their relationship and then not have viewers know why their relationship was off. So that's how they decided to discuss the kids on camera, but they wanted to downplay his role in their life. And I guess what she's also saying is that, like, they made up, like, these questions and stuff to make it seem like it was the first time they were having this conversation.
Sure. Which is, like, yeah, I just think there's a large gap between like downplay and, like, they don't even know what I look like.
Right.
Like, and it's not like, I mean, I guess they don't know this, but it's not like there weren't 800 other conversations this season that we didn't get to see.
Right.
And they just filled us in after. So it's like, you could have just said, like, we talked about this, we're good.
I also, like, feel like the reason people were okay, like, sharing pictures of Tyler and his family is because they thought he had kept it from Ashley.
Right.
Like, they thought they were, like, exposing him. And I think if he had been honest about it on the show, that people wouldn't have felt the need to go find pictures of his kids and post them on TikTok.
I get, like, her frustration being like, y'all don't need to save me. Like, I know what I'm in for this man. And, like, that sucks, but that's, like, a part of being on television is that
Yeah.
like people think that they're defending you. People think that they're being there for you by saying like, no, Ashley, like get out, like he's lying. And it's like, of course there are conversations that we don't see on camera, but again, it's not just like y'all left this out. You straight up, according to you, got on camera and lied. And so then now we're thinking like he is lying to you, girl.
Right.
And so like it feels weird that you're like, who do you think has a better grasp on what's going on, me or social media? I mean, I guess you, but it's because you evidently set up this lie.
Right. So my question at the end of all of this was, if the kid's mom is a friend of his, and he does play a role in caring for these kids, whether it is a father role or more like a family friend role or like someone they see every once in a while, how is he not letting their mom know to the point where she feels like she needs to defend her family online? Like she's going on social media and being like, my kid's father is a liar. And here's how he's a liar. And like, if they had that conversation beforehand and this whole thing was staged to protect them, why is he not giving her that heads up?
Yeah. Or is he just saying she like wants fame and like whatever, in which case like, why aren't you alleging that? Yeah, I think it's weird. Like he goes on the reunion and he acts like this family are victims of the public. He says like they didn't ask for this, they didn't sign up for this, as if like America did this thing to them. But again, like you are the one who apparently lied to us, and then like you're saying, it seems as if you didn't give her a heads up of what was going to be on TV, because now she's like, wait a second, like I have to post these pictures and like share the truth and whatever. But so to say like this family didn't ask for this, yeah, they didn't ask for you to talk about them on TV in ways that are not true.
Right.
But to act like America's just this bunch of bullies because they looked for this information about you for like 2 seconds, might I add.
Yeah.
And they found it and they realized that you're lying. Whether you're lying to Ashley or lying to us, like it comes out as a lie.
If you knew this was a conversation you were going to have with whoever you ended up with, why was it not a conversation you had with their mom before you left? Like, hey, how do you want me to address this?
Say? Yeah. I can make sure that it's an off-camera conversation, but if they get mad, sometimes they be bringing shit up. Like, what do you want me to do?
Right. So.
And, like, I think we still would have found the information about Taylor, even if we didn't talk about it at all in the show. But then Ashley could have come out and said, I knew about this.
Right.
Don't worry. And we all would have been like, oh, okay. But what's weird is, like, you literally told us.
Footage of him lying about it.
Yeah, you literally said, they don't even know what I look like.
Right. So, we're going to kind of recap the whole reunion. I'm going to go couple by couple, and I kind of set it up as, like, least interesting to most interesting. In my opinion.
Apparently, it's all boring, so.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, we're going to start with Garrett and Taylor. Yeah.
They're great.
Garrett is asked about his glow up, and Taylor says it was all him, but that she saw the potential.
I thought it was cute that he's like, I've always had an interest in fashion. I just didn't have someone who made me comfortable enough to do it.
Like, they're like, is it like, first of all, my favorite thing Nick and Vanessa Lachey have ever said is this Taylor's version. That was clever.
But then they just kept going.
I was like, okay, enough.
Stop.
And I like that she said, like, no, like, he's always been attractive.
I think he's hot.
Like, I've always thought that, like, this is who he is, though, and like, this is how he expresses himself. But like, I always knew that he was hot. Good for you, girl. They announced they're moving to DC. They talked about on the show moving closer to her family in San Francisco, but San Diego. I almost said San Diego, and I was like, I'm wrong. But Garrett wants to stay close to his family, but they also want to get out of Virginia, and I think that's like fair. Like at first, I was like, well, like what if she wants to be close to her family, but like she's already not close to her family, and like she's fine with that.
And like that is an appropriate example of like conversations that happen in private.
Right.
They have been together for a year. They have talked about this. she loves him and is going to be with him for the rest of her life. So if that means that right now they stay far from her family, but she gets to be with the love of her life, then that's what happens.
And they asked that. They asked, like, I think they asked her parents how they felt about it, and she said, like, that ultimately, like, this is the person that she's chosen, and like her goal is to like make him and their relationship the priority, and like that's what they're most familiar with, and that's what's best for them right now.
Yeah.
So good for them.
Yeah. I just feel like their relationship is like so real and just like makes so much sense to me. Like I'm like, yeah cool.
Good for y'all. Brittany and Leo said, basically they tell us that they broke up like in Miami immediately after Miami. They would not have.
So the show just sent them to Miami instead of Mexico, basically.
No,
with no cameras.
He paid for them to go to Miami.
Oh, okay.
Because remember, she asked him if we don't. She asked him if they don't send us to Mexico, can we go to Miami?
Oh yes.
At the reveal, and he was like, sure, yeah. And so like he paid for them to go to Miami when they were told they weren't chosen. They also said that they weren't surprised they weren't chosen because she's like, I hadn't told him I loved him.
She said we were the weakest link.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, she said I hadn't said I loved him. I was not surprised. That's why I asked him if we could go to Miami. Yeah. But basically they broke up there, but they said that it was like mutual, it was friendly, and they had a great time in Miami. Like they certainly enjoyed themselves, but they realized in Miami that what they had was more like platonic feelings for each other. So
yeah. They're cute as friends. Yeah. The people who believe that this season was just so boring seem to feel robbed that we didn't get to watch Brittany and Leo in Miami, because apparently they are entertaining.
I feel like they wouldn't have been, though, because they apparently had a very fun, friendly, cordial week. And then
that is not what we're here for. Yeah. Unless y'all just think like they're fun partiers, but like that's not what I am watching for.
But they are best friends now. And Brittany said that she talks to Leo about her new boyfriend. But he's single. But people are wondering on their TikToks if Leo and Hannah are dating now, because they've been filming a lot of TikToks together and with Brittany. I hope not.
Yeah.
But he did say at the reunion that his behavior in the pods made him cringe, that he's like not proud of it, that it's not really how he normally acts anyway. Yeah. So maybe outside of the pods she likes him more.
Maybe.
Can you hear them?
Mm-mm.
Okay, cool. Tim and Alex. So they explained that the napping was kind of the breaking point.
Just final straw. Which like
really
I liked that and Vanessa were like, you realize like after Mexico, like you seemed pretty done, Tim. Like it doesn't seem like y'all ever recovered from that. You say it's about the napping, but like I don't know that you liked her after that.
He was like all over the place. Like I feel like he was like, oh no, like the Mexico thing wasn't like as big a deal as it sounded, but then he was like, you were fucked up. You had me fucked up. The way you were talking to me. Like, make up your mind. But so she reiterated that it was a very short nap. Oh, he's leaving again. It was a very short nap in light of like how long they had spent with his family. It like it was a fourth of the time they spent with his family, basically. And then they did also talk about their fight in Cabo, and he said like it was out of line, but he also like, again, going back and forth, he also like kind of defended her. He agreed that he would not call it assault, and that people who are doing so online are wrong. Like it wasn't assault, he says, but that he didn't appreciate it. He certainly didn't think it was appropriate for her to put her hand on his mouth and call him out of his name. And then they asked what she called him, and he like didn't want to answer. And then she says, but she called him a little ass bitch.
Mm-hmm.
And he
She said,
did
I'm going to
not
be
like,
honest. The way you
he
was
did not
acting.
like that either.
No. I said this when they had the breakup conversation on the couch. I feel like you can watch on Tim's face the moment that he is done being civil.
Right.
And it's always a moment that bruises his ego. And I think that that's exactly what happened, is that he did not want or expect that she would actually say what she called him. I think he hoped that they were just going to be like, that's in the past. We're not going to talk about that. But when she told the entire country that he was acting like a little ass bitch, he started going ham.
Yeah. Here's the thing. If someone is intentionally using the term called me out of my name, they don't want you to know what they were called.
They would have said, you called me a little ass
bitch.
He has said, call me out of my name like 12 times. I mean, to be honest though, like, good for her. Yeah. I hate Tim. Like, I'm gonna be honest, like,
it was a little ass bitch.
Yeah, like, honestly, maybe I didn't need to know from the reunion, but good for her that she said it.
Yeah. They went back and forth to the point where Nick Lachey cut them off, and Vanessa Lachey suggested that they talk after the show privately, and Tim said that that was not going to be happening. There was no need for that. I don't need to speak to that woman.
Yeah, Vanessa's anymore. Like, well, said, either way, you're not going to be doing it here. What? Just shut up, please.
Then we get to Monica and Steve.
Yeah, who forced Monica to be there?
What did he say at one point? He's like, I know about something. And Monica was like,
I don't remember.
I don't either. It was so funny though. She was like,
I know something about kinks.
He's
like,
so gross. It was something like related to something he said all the time.
But remember when he started talking when it wasn't even on him yet, and Nick was like, "Oh, Steven." That's what you're talking about?
Yeah, but like I can't remember what he said. But she was like,
"Yeah, well, I actually think it was something about like public perception. Like I know a little something about being hated, something like that." And she's like, "Come on."
Yeah. So she just like clearly didn't want to talk to him, which I get. He said that the text was from someone he didn't really know, and that they were talking about something else, and then she turned the conversation sexual, and he made it sound like this girl was telling him because like she knew he would get what she was saying. Like she was like, "Oh, I've started getting into kinky things. You're my kinky friend, so like give me like advice, like swap stories with me."
He also made it sound like how a lot of men do, where he's like, well, like she starts texting me about fetishes, I'm obviously gonna reply about the fetishes.
Yeah, Monica said that she didn't believe him because
he's like, we never talked again after. I barely knew her.
She was like, this is the first time we had ever messaged, and she was like, I just don't think that's true because like I after reading it, I scrolled back and there were several messages from before that conversation.
Yeah, and then he's like, well, yeah, we've been friends for years on Instagram, but that's like our first conversation like that. But it's like, you just said this is the only day that I talked to her that one day, and that is it.
So Nick asked her if Steven admitting to having been a cheater in the past was a red flag, and she said that it was like at the time it was more of a yellow flag because she was like, oh, like he's being open about it. And she's like, I've been in relationships with men who have cheated on their previous partners before, and they have not told me.
Which like good for her for like not speaking in hindsight and saying like, no, to be honest, like I really did not think that was a big deal. She said like, I never in a million years thought that Steven was going to cheat on me. Like it was something I had not even considered. Netflix and Kinetic said, we are not touching his blackness or the mutt comment with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah. Their conversation was very short.
Yes.
That's it.
They
And I
said,
also wonder how much
we're not talking about anyone's race.
Yeah, and Monica was probably like, I don't want to talk to him.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just here to watch everyone else.
Yeah.
Truthfully, you could have set me next to AD for all I care.
Yeah.
Okay, the sound happened again.
Oh, well, I did bump my mic that time.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
But I guess I don't hear it because.
Yeah. That's what I was wondering if you heard it, because I was like, if she didn't hear it, maybe it was her microphone. All right, Marissa and Ramses.
Mm-hmm.
Ramses is down bad. He has been through the ringer when he gets to this reunion. They ask him about like the breakup, and he says it was really hard to watch Marissa break down when she was alone after he had called off the wedding. Marissa's mom said that she actually went to talk to Ramses after the breakup to see what had happened, and that she hasn't seen him since. She also like thanked him for calling off the wedding and said it was the right thing to do, but like in a like my daughter is better without you way.
I think she knows like she absolutely would have married your ass.
Right. And that scares her.
Mm-hmm.
Marissa also said, I was fucking that man. And this is, I'm going to do an impression.
Because Nick tried to come for Hannah and be like, you still wanted to hook up with me?
She said that. And Ramses was like,
mm-hmm.
And then her mom was like,
mm-hmm. You telling me her mama didn't know that?
I mean, but I feel like that's something she wouldn't tell her, because she was like, my mom would be pissed at me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do we actually think Ramses got dragged enough?
No.
I don't. I think that him and Monica had like the same strategy. They said, if I engage very little, this will end very quickly.
Yes.
And he's like, I'm sorry. I do want to talk about, so he talked about the birth control conversation. Yeah. And he says, like, it went very differently than it was shown on TV. Marissa had said something similar on a podcast. Like, I want to give him that Marissa did say, when I was in that conversation, it did not feel mean. It didn't feel harsh. Like, it felt more nuanced. We had like talked about other options, but she did say that like when she watched it back, she was shocked. And I don't know if she just means like shocked by how they edited it, or I kind of think she means like in retrospect, she was able to see how shitty he was being to her.
Right.
Because like he still said those things, even if there were other things piled in that got cut out. Like he still said like, I won't be having sex without a condom. So
yeah. And it also like, this is going to sound like crazy, but I feel like you'll get what I'm saying. I think that comes across differently from a bisexual liberal arts college type guy, progressive king. You're like, oh, okay, like I need to like think about what he's saying, because like he always makes sense.
Yeah, and we're just talking about options. We're just exploring possibilities, considering each other's pleasure.
Yeah, but watching it back after having been being dumped with, and like being dumped by being told you are too much.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. You like are too happy. Which is crazy, because everyone from the pods from the jump has said like, Ramses, you are so lucky you got with this woman who is 100% positive all the time. She is, you think it's fake, but it's not. That is truly who she is. And it's like, that's what people loved about her. And now he's like, ugh, I don't know.
I don't think I've ever heard a man say out loud, you're too much.
Your energy is just too much for me.
I wanted to stab him. But so, like, yeah, I think watching it back, having had that conversation, you're like, okay, like, no, I already know this man is icky. And now I can see that him saying that to me was wrong.
Yeah. Did you feel like when Nick Lachey was like, Marissa, like, I just want you to know, like, you're beautiful and your energy is beautiful. Did you feel like it was like condescending? People are like dragging him. Okay.
Yeah. I felt, who was it we were talking about the other day? Or not the other day. We were talking about this on another episode, that somebody said something like that, and we're like,
Jesse?
Yes, when Jesse Palmer said that to Jen.
When he was ripping Jen's heart out?
Yeah. We were like, what the fuck?
It does. When you're the host, it feels like you're just trying to justify why you've let them go through something so horrific.
Yeah. Like, I was like, oh, like he's trying to like defend the show, or
Mm-hmm.
like this is the show's way of apologizing for like putting her through this man. And like it made me feel icky.
Yeah, fair.
Okay. I saved the best for last. Hannah and Nick. These
Mm-hmm.
two were bonkers. And we have a hot take. Yesterday on the phone, Katie said, we can disagree on the podcast tomorrow if you feel like we will. And then she told me her opinion, and I said, I don't disagree. Hannah was maybe right. Okay?
Listen, do I think she's perfect? No. But
No.
it feels like I am
relate.
required to absolutely hate her.
I
And
know.
with that comes apparently like thinking Nick is a victim. And I am not on that train.
Yeah. I saw someone say, like, I will do anything not to agree with a man, but Hannah is forcing my hand. And I was like, no! Stop! You can disagree with the men.
Yeah.
Still.
And
Don't
all
worry.
of these men got off easy, in my opinion.
Like, okay, we're fully aware of the
Mhm.
bully accusations. She's never escaping the bully accusations.
Mhm.
We get that narrative.
Yeah, but he's never escaping the stupid ones.
Right.
Pasta doesn't go in the fridge.
Yeah. And maybe because it's coming from two women who are raised to say kind of whatever we want. We get it, you know. I feel like she probably had parents pretty similar to ours.
Mm-hmm.
And she just got away with whatever she wanted with who she was running her mouth, and us too. And I think if you asked our husbands, they would agree. But
I'm telling, every time we watch it, I'm like, but Billy, if I watched you go into the fridge for pasta, you would never live it down.
Your ass would be cooked. We still make fun of Billy. One time, Billy heard our mom's voice on the speakerphone, and he thought it was Katie.
And he caught the attitude.
Her. And we still make fun of him for it. We're like,
it's been probably 6 years.
Yeah. I saw a TikTok today, and it was like when your brother-in-law's been around for a little too long, and it was like a girl, she said something about him being stupid, and then she walked off, and he said, well, you have a big fat ass. I was like, this is like Billy. I don't think Billy would say that to me.
No.
But, like, this is me and Billy. Like, I'm like, okay, Billy.
Yeah.
Sometimes. But so look, we get her. And Hannah admitted that her delivery was never appropriate with Nick. Mm-hmm. But she also thinks people should know that her personality is very blunt. She's straightforward. She always says what she feels, what she thinks. I don't go that far.
Uh-huh.
I'm not one of those people who's like, I can say whatever I want.
I'm just direct.
That's my personality.
I'm just direct.
And in fact, I hate when people say that. When people are like, when I like my feelings were hurt, and they're like, well, you have to understand, like, that's their personality. And I'm like, I don't want to understand.
Mean. It was painful to watch her avoid giving an apology by any means necessary. But
I think getting to the end of the conversation with them, I get why she wouldn't.
I think she was like, okay, buddy, the best I can give you is that I should have done better, but your ass is grass if you keep
she's like, going. I don't owe you specifically an apology. But I will say, I do think it's worth noting that her bestie, Marissa, says that Hannah is even mean to her sometimes, but that it is something that Hannah is actively working on. Hannah says it has been the hardest year of her life, but that she is like trying to get better on how she speaks to people. But she also...
Okay. I want to interject because I saw this just before I got on. Marissa was in an interview where she says that her and Nick have worked out their differences and that her and Hannah are no longer best friends.
I was about to say, you don't work out your differences with your best friend's stupid ass ex. So she tells us, though, she's like, I'm sick of this. I am not the only one at fault here. Yeah. And she drops what I would consider a bombshell, but apparently everyone thinks it's not that interesting. Yeah. She says that after their breakup, her and her friends were like packing up her things, getting her moved out, and her friend found a journal of Nick's, which has since been released.
Great. Is the handwriting as bad as I expect it to be?
It's atrocious.
Okay.
They basically it has a list of goals. It's 3 goals. I think he said like 90-day goals. And one of them, Hannah says was to be the most famous person on Love is Blind. What it said was, I want to be one of the most famous participants in Love is Blind.
Pretty
Same
close.
difference. Yeah, same difference. She's not, for once, she's not going off the deep end exaggerating. Why are more people not disturbed by this? Like, if he were in Bachelor Nation, his ass would be cooked.
He's like, well, I wrote it 90 days before, not when I was literally on the show, so, like, what's the problem?
Right.
Dude, I don't give a fuck when you wrote it. You're supposed to, when you get given this opportunity to go on a show to find love, maybe it's like, I want to find love.
We always say on this podcast, specifically when we're talking about The Bachelor, like, there's nothing wrong with, like, going on these shows and also thinking, like, hey, it would be cool. Obviously, like, the main goal is to find love. But if I don't, it would be cool to, like, become famous or be an influencer. Or
you also have to think like that, because it'd be stupid to think that you won't be famous in some way.
Like, and, like, some people on these shows get, like, a recurring role on this show or become a lead on the show. And so, like, it's okay to, like, consider that that's a possibility and to, like, think that that's exciting. But the goal should still be, like, to fall in love. Especially if you're going to put it in writing. Like, if you have a goal centered around Love is Blind that you're writing down and leaving out for your fiance to see, maybe it should say, I want to get engaged on Love is Blind.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then he's like, doubles down when he's like, well, I left the notebook out on purpose because nothing that I wrote in it was bad. And it's like, you don't think you'd be a little offended if Hannah wrote that? Also,
I think here's the crazy thing to me. She said that, and I was like, my first thought was, did he do that to get back at her for the list he found in Cabo? And then for him to, like, double down on it and be like, there's nothing wrong with this.
Yeah. Also, like, if you look at it from that Bachelor lens, if you coupled the fact that someone wrote down that their goal was to get famous with the fact that those men essentially confirmed that he called Hannah a grenade, that he said,
I thought they were talking about, like, and for the whole time they were talking about it, I was like, oh, he's, like, talking about, like, her personality, and then they say that he says she looks like a grenade. What the fuck?
So it's like, imagine if you were in Bachelor Nation and you said that you were going on to be famous, and then you called the girl ugly and fat or whatever, gave her a 5 out of 10. And he's like, but it's so funny that he's like, he just kept going, I didn't say that. And he's just, I mean, he is literally hoping for dear life that none of those men speak up. They didn't, until finally Ramses is like, dude, I don't want to be dragged anymore online. Could you just tell the fucking truth?
Steven said, oh, he absolutely said that.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
But they didn't, the boys wouldn't answer until, like, directly asked. And then they're like, oh, yeah. Yes.
And, like, all the women were like, we fucked you for so long.
Yeah.
Just say that you said it. That he said it. Come on, people. Okay. Ooh.
Come back down.
Then they asked Katie how she felt about the Great Gatsby party episode, and she said what I said in our last pop off episode. She said that Hannah exaggerated. She's like, all I said was that he was cute, first of all. Like, let's be clear. And I said it once. And then she also said that it hurt because Hannah, and Marissa had been, like, the 3 musketeers the whole time. And Hannah says, like, oh my God, like, I was never, like, distrusting of you, Katie. Like, I always trusted you. It was him that I didn't trust. And she was like, I'm so sorry, like, if you thought it was about you. And then, which is like crazy, because if y'all are best friends, why are you just now saying this to her?
Well, Katie
And so,
did say, like, I know we've already talked about this and worked this out, but I want to ask you here, do you actually have trouble trusting me? So I feel like Katie was almost just like, I have to ask you for the cameras.
Yeah.
Because they want to see us. But then Hannah goes and, like, won't apologize, basically, and is like, you silly girl, you know I trust you. You know
Yeah.
I trust you.
And then Marissa's mom leans over and she says to Katie, but she let you feel like shit for a whole year.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes me wonder, and now what you've said makes me wonder
Mm-hmm.
more, how did Marissa's mom feel about her daughter sitting up there and being Hannah's ride or die?
Look, Vanessa probably came to her after and was like, that was atrocious.
By the time this airs, you better not be her friend anymore.
Yeah.
Now for the fun stuff. AD and Marshall were serving reactions as usual.
Mm-hmm.
I am fully on board for them replacing the Lachey's.
Mm-hmm.
I beg of you.
Mm-hmm.
I will give you all of my money.
Yeah. AD is one of the finest women I've ever seen in my life. She did mention that she has a somebody.
Yeah.
Pictures have been going around,
Mm-hmm.
and so people suspect that her somebody is Ollie from Love Is Blind UK.
I have heard that it's someone else from a Netflix reality show.
Mm-hmm. So interesting.
Jessica
Also, wait, pause. Wasn't Marshall like engaged or married at
on
some
the
point?
show.
No.
Oh,
Like, I thought he like met someone after and like got engaged or married. But
I
anyway,
don't
he's
remember.
single now, so I'm like, oh dang.
Yeah. Jessica from season 1 is unrecognizable. And when they said it, I was like, why am I having trouble believing them? And it's because, like, not only is her face unrecognizable, but she's not doing her baby voice anymore.
Yeah.
So, like, I can't even be like, oh my god, like, yeah, it is her. I have no idea. It could be anyone. She introduced the world to her husband. They got married like 4 years ago.
Yeah, I was like,
care at this point.
They were like, we have extra seats.
Yeah. We also got to meet some of the cast members from season 8, which was filmed in Minneapolis. Sammy said, "Oh, Katie and Billy could have been on it." Did you know that was happening when you were living there?
Yep. They I know some areas they filmed in and they had like signs up that were like, don't come in here if you don't want to be on camera.
Did you go in?
No.
Nah.
I missed it.
Okay. Last thing, I thought it'd be fun to end with some of our favorite Halloween costumes from celebrities this year. We've already mentioned some. We talked about Mark Anderson and his new lady were Prince Charming and Cinderella. His daughter annihilated it.
Yeah.
She was Belle one night.
Why was Joey the perfect silver fox?
I know.
Her?
She was young Justin Bieber one night. Her and Joey were
Pretty Woman.
Yeah, Pretty Woman. She was a hooker. I was like, they were a hooker.
Together.
And yeah.
They were the transaction.
There was someone else we mentioned earlier whose costume was really good, but I don't remember it now. So here's some good ones we haven't mentioned yet. Pascal went as Joan, which was cute at the time, but now that I've seen how he hurt her, I'm like, this is weird.
Rude.
Sabrina Carpenter's Lizzie McGuire was spot on.
Incredible.
I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
Fully, like, the blow up dress, everything. The video, she's got the poses down.
Yeah.
America and Corey went as Devin and Claire, and they later went as Taylor and Joseph.
Derek and Claire.
Derek and Claire. What did I say?
Devin.
Oh yeah, Derek and Claire. And then they went as Taylor and Joseph. They also went as Twilight.
Oh. So they are still together then?
Yeah. It's a lot.
the group known as PPG from Love Island went as none other than the Powerpuff Girls.
Cute.
They also did other cute ones. Leah and Miguel were Morticia and Gomez Adams, which was cute and really appropriate for them. And then Janae and Kenny were the Princess and the Frog. I always forget his name.
Prince Naveen.
Prince Naveen. Yeah. Which was so perfect for them. It was so cute.
Yeah. Who else? Oh, Heidi Klum. I wasn't impressed. I mean, I'm impressed by like the detail, but like I didn't find it that interesting. But they were ET, both her and her husband, and Gottmik was at her Halloween party, and Gottmik was Bedazzled SpongeBob.
What is why can't I think of the Bachelorette girl's name right now? Charity. Charity was Tyra Banks in Life Size.
Yeah, it was cute. There was a lot of good ones.
Yeah. We had a trick-or-treater who was dressed as a Roomba. And I think that's so cute. We also had a Taylor Swift, but the Roomba is so cute.
We were going to sit outside to give out candy this year because last year we set a bowl out and it did not go well. But it rained all day and it was still raining on and off all night. And so we did just set a bowl out and it was fine. It was like kind of cute. We could hear because we have a big window by our front door, so like we could also see them, and our dogs could see them, and so I felt like it became obvious to people why we weren't opening the door. And it was so cute because like I could hear parents coming up with their kids and saying like, "Oh, it says please take one. Make sure we only take one." And then for the end of the night, one kid came up and was like, they were just yapping on our porch for some reason, and the dogs were like going crazy because someone was just standing on our porch talking to themselves, and they were like, "I'm gonna come in there, dogs." And Sammy said, "I'm gonna come take their candy."
Sammy's like, "Nope, that's Banny."
I said, I think we're done for the night.
Yeah.
And then after they left, I went and grabbed the bowl and it was empty anyway. So
yeah, I usually have a time limit where I decide after this time it's gonna be middle schoolers or whatever anyway.
I told him next year, hopefully if it doesn't rain, when we do sit out on the grass, I said the first sight of a teenager by themselves, we will give them the candy. We're not gonna be rude, but then we're gonna pack it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I live adjacent to a wealthy neighborhood. So you tell me, would you go trick-or-treating in your own neighborhood, or would you go right next to the other one and get the rich people candy?
Yeah.
So we didn't have that many.
I unfortunately live in a wealthy neighborhood.
Not me.
But I think we do get I also think that people just don't take their kids trick-or-treating as much anymore. And I've said that I don't think I will. They do
trunk or treats and
I've
they
said
do
that
other like events.
Yeah. I've told my husband I think I'd prefer to do like trunk or treats when we have kids. But so we do get like kids from our neighborhood like walking around, but then we also get kids from like this area.
Yeah.
That maybe don't live in the wealthy neighborhoods.
That like drive through.
Yeah, I'm like 95% sure the first trick-or-treater that came to our door, I'm like 95% sure it was one of my kids. And I was like, I can't open that door. I also didn't have candy. I didn't have candy at the time, so he was just standing in our yard, like, waiting for something to happen. And I was like, I can't come out. Because I have no idea if you are who I think you are. But I guess I'll find out next year.
Yeah. Well, happy November, everyone. We've made it.
Yeah, another Halloween, and then I'm done.
Cute.